Hey guys, Art 17 here, and we're in week 7, assignment number 12. I just made this video and then accidentally deleted it, so anyway, we all make mistakes. Well, I'm happy to make it again. Not really, but here we go. We're talking about illusion of depth, understanding illusion of depth. And this time, and I'll talk about number 13 and homework later, but they're all related. They're related in different ways. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Oh Lord. Okay, so illusion of depth is where you have various things that appear to be getting smaller or shorter or closer together as they go away from you. It's an illusion because, like a road or railroad tracks, let me see if I can find the railroad track one. Yeah. If you walk down the road, it's the same size railroad track, even though when you're standing, you're looking down there, it looks like everything's getting smaller or closer together or shorter. It's an illusion. That's why they call it an illusion of depth, because it's really not getting shorter. If you walk down there, this railroad track would be about the same size it is, maybe 6 feet across or something. And all the runs or the railroad ties would be maybe, 1.5 feet or whatever they are. They wouldn't seem to get smaller and closer together, neither with these trees or the fence post. This is what we call a vanishing point, or the one-point perspective. So it's a single point right here, perspective, and everything's going to that perspective on this particular scene. The river, the trees, the railroad tracks, and fence posts are pointed to there. Now, if they started going off into the property somewhere, then they would change their perspective. But in a straight line, they would be going down to that vanishing point, which everything sort of vanishes there. That's the illusion. Okay, so you can do something like this. You could do something like this, or even this one. And this is really cool. Look at the sky. I want something in the sky. There's no sky that's white unless it's, total white clouds. That's very odd, even though you're probably going to see dark and light tone in the clouds to give them shape. But here's the idea. You got some fence posts here, either telephone poles or trees, each one getting shorter looking, appearing, and closer together as they go away from you. Same with the railroad ties. Don't forget to shade everything. The side has a lighter side because the sun's hitting it. That's the darker side because the sun isn't hitting there. And then there's cast shadows on that side too. Same with the trees. Same with the fence posts. And the front of the ties are all also shaded because they're not getting hit by the sun slightly. The sun looks like it's coming from this direction, but it gives the railroad tie shape. You can tell they're thick. They're not just thin as paper laying on the ground. They're thick. So you can tell that by the shading in the front. You're telling your audience that. Your audience, your viewer, this is a little more abstract one, but it's still getting the point across. It doesn't have to be perfect like that, but all the buildings are getting shorter too. You see that from the top. Here's your eye level in a one-point perspective, right where that vanishing point is, on the horizon line. There's your horizon line. So all the buildings are going to that vanishing point, to the vanishing point. The railroad is, and if you had more telephone poles, they would be doing that too. So that is the idea. That's why all these are like that. So you could have a guy walking down a tunnel to the back, and it's light back there and darker here, gradually gets darker as it comes back, or the opposite here. That's dark down there and it gets lighter up here. This is a guy in a boat. going down a cave to the back. So that's an illusion of depth. So your river is kind of converging, and it's not getting smaller back there. In reality, it just appears to be. As this guy goes down there, it's probably not getting like that. So there's your illusion of depth ideas. Also, trees get smaller, closer together as they go away from you, too. Now, there's other ideas on this. Let me see if Google had the ladder going down a hole. It's a cool idea. And all the runs, these steps, they're called runs. They're going down, getting closer together this way, and shorter because the converging line of the side of the ladder is meeting down here. And all the sides of the hole are going that way too. All these lines on the side of the hole are going down to the perspective point down here, the vanishing point. Okay, so that's a cool way to do it. Overlapping is another way. There's an overlapping, different sizes. Things get smaller. Here's a spiral staircase. It's a really good idea for a drawing, pretty involved. Here's another idea where all the walls in the back are getting smaller and smaller, and the ones in the front are big, but they're all really the same size. It's an illusion of depth, because we're saying that they're all the same size. The same here, but whatever you do, shade it. This has no shading in the sky, in the background, in the ground. It's not reality. You know, it's a really good railroad, but it's not shaded. So you need to shade. Anything you send me, shade it, or I'll send it back and say, hey, where's the shading? These horses, one's a little smaller in the background than the one here. That's an illusion of depth. They're probably around the same size horse. And this one with the telephone poles and whatnot going back. Don't draw them sideways like this, like they're tipping over, because that's not reality. Any posts or anything like that you're standing there looking at are vertical, unless they are really tipping over. But if you're trying to draw them accurately, like they're standing up straight, they do stand up straight. They don't go off to the side because you're thinking, well, that's on the side. It goes off to the side. It doesn't. Even one way over here wouldn't do that. They'd all be straight up and down. The only difference is that these are getting smaller as they get to the vanishing point, the 1 point perspective back here. Everything that's going in a line in that direction is going to that vanishing point. Okay, one more. The trees back here have an atmospheric perspective. They're very misty because there's particles in the atmosphere that get in the way of your vision. It happens with mountain ranges too. You could show a bunch of mountain ranges this way, but the rocks appear to be smaller back here when this one is big, but they're probably around the same size in reality. If you were to walk back here, these would peep out the same size as this possibly. It's just an illusion that you're showing depth. How are you going to do that? These are the ways. You could overlap things, like these are behind this one, that's showing depth. This one's behind that one, that's showing depth. Same thing here. This little one here is behind here, which is showing a depth. So all that is showing depth. Running out of ideas here, but here's another converging road that is going off into the distance, and then you have all this stuff back here. It's not as strong as some of these other ideas, but it is depth nonetheless. The tunnel ideas work really well. Let me see if I can find anything else. The big penguin in the front and the little ones back here, that's showing a depth because they're in the background. So they're behind him several feet. They're going to appear to be smaller. And, here's another one where everybody's getting shorter and smaller and closer together as it goes away from you. You can do that with buildings and all kinds of other things. We're going to work on that with the 1 and 2 point perspective. But for now, try the illusion of depth. Even something like this, where you have all these branches and trees in the front, and then trees over here kind of getting smaller and smaller as they go away from you. The river looks like it's going out and about way down there. And you have more ripples here than over here because this is closer. And then the mountains are all misty back there. They're just way back there. You have that atmospheric perspective covering them up in a mist. And then, even these trees are thinner and more less detailed than the front ones, than these ones with hardly any leaves on them. So that's showing a depth. Everything's behind what's in the foreground, which is these trees. And then that's behind, and then this is behind, and that's behind that. And so things are sort of overlapping each other and getting smaller as they go away and less detail as they go away. All right, so work on that illusion of depth. Go to Bing and go to Google and put in illusion of depth drawings, and you'll see many ideas, okay? That's a really good one. And all the cast shadows. So this is color, right? But if you were to put the blue in graphite or charcoal, it'd be a gray tone. It wouldn't be white. So nothing's white on here except for maybe the road lines, which get smaller and closer together as they go away, too. They get smaller and closer together as they go away. All right? So put this in Google or Bing and check it out, and then I'll talk to you on Wednesday.